All right, guys. Our next guest is coming off arguably the biggest win of his career, where he defeated Rory MacDonald at UFC Ottawa to officially become the number one ranked UFC welterweight with a lot of momentum on his side. Welcome back, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, to the program. Stephen, congratulations, man. How's it going? And are you still riding the high of victory?
Oh, definitely. I feel great going out. Going 5 rounds with Rory MacDonald. My body feels great. Got little bumps and bruises, man, but super excited.
It's interesting because a lot of people obviously, know you as one of the nicest guys in MMA. You're coming up for this huge win, and I text you to organize this interview, and you tell me that you're teaching a class so soon after your fight. A lot of people would go off on a holiday, but you're back in the gym.
Yeah, we got back Sunday evening, and I was back in the gym Monday morning teaching classes, my friend. It's just something that I love to do. It's my first love.
I love it. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson giving back. Now, after a little over 4 years, you finally climbed the ranks and beaten some of the best fighters at 170. How does it feel to finally and officially be the number one ranked UFC welterweight?
Wow, man, it's so surreal, to be honest with you. I remember the first day, I found out that I would be fighting for the UFC. I never knew that I would be the number one contender right now. I've always made it a goal. I've always knew that, I was going to go out there and give it my all and go for it. But man, dude, I'm the number one contender, and hopefully I'll be the champion here pretty soon. So, you know what, man, you work hard, you stay focused on things that you want to accomplish, and man, you'll get there.
I know a lot of people, including ourselves, thought you could have gone on to fight for the belt after you beat Johnny Hendricks, and after you said yourself you were a little bit disappointed that you got Rory instead. But is there a satisfaction in knowing that you get the next title shot and you truly earned it? You're not ranked 5th or 6th or 3rd and getting a shot, but rather you've taken the long way and beaten everybody put before you. Is there a bit of satisfaction in that?
There is. I expected to get the title shot after I fought Johnny Hendricks and beat Johnny Hendricks. But, like I was saying before, sometimes you got to prove to the fans in the UFC that you may have to fight one more time just to prove that, you deserve it. And, go out there and fight a guy as honorable and just an athlete as Rory MacDonald, man, it definitely makes it all that much better.
Yeah, we've seen many guys in the past build impressive streaks only to have it undone by a loss. Was there extra pressure for you going into this fight that if things didn't go your way and you lost, even though you'd made it so close, you'd have to climb the ladder all over again?
Yeah, man, now that I look back at it, there could have been, a whole lot of pressure on me. But you know what? I like to go in thinking that, it's just another fight. And that's just for my psyche, helps me keep calm and doesn't affect me. Some people it does affect the pressure if you think about it like that. So I try not to think about it like that. I think about it as it's just another fight. I got to go out there and have fun and do my thing. And, it just pays off, man. It helps me keep calm, helps me stay focused out there when I'm in the octagon. I don't feel like I have to win it. And that's how I go into fights thinking.
Now, did the fight play out the way you thought it would in your head? And what did you find to be the biggest challenge for you to overcome against Rory?
It didn't really go the way I expected it to. Before the fight, I was telling myself I'm going to go out there and I want to give it 110% and just take it to Rory right off the bat, kind of like I did Johnny Hendricks. But as soon as I stepped out there, and he lowered his stance. He ended up sticking his left arm out there. I knew that he was ready for me to close that gap so he can look for the takedown. So I had to, as soon as I got out there, I had to change my game plan. And, the one thing that I really was very difficult for me to get around was that front arm. He would like to reach it out, keep it out there, which made me have to use my side kick a lot. And I had to find ways around that arm. Not just his left arm, but his right arm. If you go back and watch, he kept his right arm directly in front of his face. Obviously, he was protecting his nose, but all my straight shots hit his arm instead of his head. So it was kind of difficult to actually land that one shot. So it made me had to change it up a little bit, start throwing some uppercuts in there, and just kind of mix it up.
Well, we broke down the fight with the one and only Robin Black, who really enjoyed the fight and the technical chess match there was. There was, however, a mixed reaction amongst fans, even some boos during the fight. Just wondering, Stephen, did that reaction bother you at all, that maybe some people didn't grasp how difficult a challenge Rory was?
You know what? Not really. I always like to stay positive. I've always been a positive guy. But yeah, man, I remember actually going out there in the middle of the round, I'm hearing these guys boo, and it really wanted to make me go out there and just throw. But I knew the type of caliber of fighter I was facing. And if I went out there doing that, he would take advantage of it and try and, possibly get me down to the ground where he feels more comfortable. So I had to, ignore it and just do what I do, man. And you know what? A fight after, I don't know if you saw the co-main event, the Cowboy Cerrone. That was a great fight.
Oh, yeah.
Good knockout. And the fight before that won, fight of the night. So the two fights before us were just nonstop action, standing in front of each other and just duking it out. And I couldn't go. That's something I couldn't do and go out there and do against Rory MacDonald because, he's just that good of a fighter. So I had to really be cautious out there. But there's a lot of martial artists out there who really liked the fight, thought it was a very good technical fight, good smart fight, and just keeping them on the outside and trying to pick them apart. But that puts a smile on my face.
Yeah, and we definitely enjoyed it here. I'm wondering, how tough was it mentally to have to stay sharp and alert for 25 full minutes against a guy who's always dangerous and can catch you at any moment? Was that one of the most grueling aspects of the fight?
Oh, man, tell me about it. It wasn't really physical. It was mental, just like you said, because you had to go out there every round, every second, and just it was a chess match. Like I was saying, you had to think every step of the way. You really didn't know exactly what he was going to throw. First round, he went out there and hit that crazy, I forgot what you call it, but try and go for that rolling heel hook. And that threw me off right off the bat. I was like, man, I got to keep this guy away. I think he expected to go out there, hit me with that the first time and submit me and it'd be over. Go out there and make a statement that way, because he tried it two more times after that. But, man, it's grueling, man. And I'm still tired from it, not physically, but mentally, man, because you have to go out there and you have to stay sharp for 25 minutes. And, man, it was difficult.
I mean, it was an incredible fight, a chess match, very, very interesting. But would you say, now that it's all said and done, this fight with Rory was the most difficult of your career?
I think so. My MMA career, definitely. I mean, he was the number one guy, contender and been at the top of the game for a long time for a reason. He's very well-rounded, the best well-rounded fighter that I've ever faced. And man, yeah, I mean, but just to go out there and be able to keep the fight standing against a good wrestler and a good jiu-jitsu guy, it says something about my wrestling. And I think everybody in the division has to, not really be afraid of it, but be aware of it, that I can keep a fight standing against the best wrestlers out there.
You guys are obviously friends. It looked like you guys had a brief moment afterwards in the octagon. What did you guys say to each other?
You know what? I went up to him. I gave him a big hug. Man, I told him, I said, I love you, man. And because I've known Roy for a very long time, and it does suck having to go out there and be punched in the head and punch your friend in the head for 25 minutes. I think I ended up breaking his nose again. So, that's something you just hate doing it. But we understand his business, and I know he would do the same thing for me if he had the shot. And like I said before, I don't think it's very respectful for me not to go out there and give it 100% for him. I know his goals and he knows my goals, but if he's going to fight me, he's going to fight the best Stephen Thompson, and vice versa. If I'm going to fight Rory, I want it to be the best Rory MacDonald.
I'm just wondering, because you guys are close and obviously there was that nice interaction after the fight. What happened backstage? Did you guys hang out or speak anymore afterwards?
Oh, we definitely did, man. We walked back and we pretty much hung out the rest of the night. Going to the press conference and things like that. We chatted and talked about our bumps and bruises that we had. I talked about my foot hurting. I kicked his elbow a few times and ended up tearing a ligament in my right thumb, trying to push one of his tie clinches off. And he was talking about how his front leg was really killing him from the leg kicks and obviously his nose. So, yeah, man, we were just chatting, hanging out. And actually the next day we had to leave early. Went down to the front lobby, and there he was, had ice on his knee, and got to meet his honey, and they're getting ready to have a kid, so we got to chat about that a little bit, and yeah, man, it was all good.
Well, I know you just mentioned a couple of bumps and bruises. How long do you expect it would take to heal from? I mean, me and Casper, we're not technically fighters, so we don't know how long it takes. But from the bumps and bruises that you mentioned, how long would it take you to be ready to fight again?
Well, I ended up hurting my left foot and my right foot. My shins are a little bruised up too, but I thought I ended up breaking my left foot kicking his elbow. I think it was in the second round, man. Just totally crushed my foot on his elbow. And so we got x-rays yesterday. Actually, it started feeling a whole lot better. So I actually did class, did a little moving around, a little bit of shadow boxing. The worst injury, I believe, is my right thumb. Ended up tearing a ligament in it, and doctors were talking about may having to do some surgery on it. I'm keeping my fingers crossed. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But yeah, man. So far right now, the worst injury is my right thumb, and hopefully we'll, after that, if I do have to have surgery, it'll be a quick recovery.
For sure. I mean, as far as what's next, it's no secret that people want to see you fight for the belt after, that destruction of Johnny Hendricks. Now that you've beaten Rory in his home country, what do you think this win does for your title campaign, and what is next for you?
I'm on a 7-fight winning streak, man, and which is the most in the division. So I beat the best guys in the division. I beat the number 2 guy, the number 1 guy. Finished Jake Ellenberger in the first round, Johnny Hendricks in the first round, and man, I think they have to give it to me. I think everybody's waiting to see how everything's going for the Tyron and Robbie Lawler fight coming up. I'm really anxious to see that as well. So I'll definitely be keeping my eye on that. And yeah, man, I believe hopefully I'm trying to get that title shot in November in New York at Madison Square Garden. I think that's the place to do it.
You had a really funny moment after your fight where when you went to call out, the champion, you said Robbie Lawler, but then you have to catch yourself for a second and be like, or Tyron Woodley if he wins. Can you just describe that situation? Because he's such a nice guy that I think you just wanted to be fair in that call out, but it ended up being pretty comical.
Yeah, man. I was thinking about who the champion was right now, completely forgetting that, he's got a fight coming up, getting ready to face, a tough guy, Tyron Woodley. But yeah, man, it was funny because my dad was yelling at me in the back saying, "Hey, man, we don't know who the champion is going to be, so you don't need to be saying that." But I think Robbie Lawler's got it. He's the type of guy that to get stronger as the rounds go on. And if Tyron doesn't finish Lawler in the first round, Tyron's the type of guy who's been known to get tired as the rounds go on. So I believe that Lawler is going to end up winning this fight. And you know what? Just for my sake, I would love to fight Lawler just because he's been the champion longer, and faced a lot of tough guys. For me to beat Lawler when nobody else has at the top of the game would be awesome.
Well, that was going to be my next question, why you wanted to fight Robbie specifically, but that makes a lot of sense. I mean, Robbie brings a very different style to Rory, and we know styles make fights. How do you see yourself matching up against him? And on paper, do you think he's a tougher test than Rory, or do you think that stylistically Rory was the stiffer style matchup?
Yeah, well, I believe that, Robbie Lawler, he's the toughest as they come. I mean, he's got basic striking, but he's got tons of heart. He's very tough, as you've seen in the past. His fights with Carlos Condit, Rory MacDonald have all been really, really tough. And he just came out there the 4th and 5th round and came back stronger. He's just that kind of guy. But he is a guy that will stand there and try and bang it out with you. So, I think it would be a good matchup for me, just the fact that he is the type of guy to stand there. I'd be able to use my stand-up, my movement, my angles to try and pick him apart. I don't think he would look for the takedown. I don't want to cut that out because I know he's a good wrestler as well. He's got a good ground game, but he's not afraid to stand and bang it out.
Mm-hmm. Well, we know you're originally from Simpsonville, South Carolina, and UFC 201 takes place next door in Atlanta, Georgia. Do you have any plans to attend UFC 201 and watch the title fight cage side?
If I'm not able, I don't think I'll be able to make it there, but I will definitely be, desk side at, I think I'm one of the analysts on Fox Sports 1 for that one.
Hey, that's exciting.
How do you like that, by the way? Do you enjoy that? Because we were watching, I thought you did a great job, but do you enjoy doing that? Is that maybe another career path down in the future once it's all said and done?
Oh, definitely. I love to talk about fights. I love to analyze them and break them down. So, yeah, man, hopefully when my fight career is over, that's something I will, be able to fall back on.
I'm just curious, sorry to jump in there, Casper. What do you guys get up to during the commercial breaks? I always think about this because we see the stuff that sort of happens once it goes off. Do you guys hang out? Do you talk? Or is the person next to you like, sorry, I can't talk right now. I don't want to get all the good stuff out. And then you just sit in silence, just stare forwards. What goes on?
I don't think that can happen, especially when you got Daniel Cormier sitting next to you. Kenny Florent, All those guys are freaking phenomenal, man. And my first analyst job was like a month ago, and so they had to pick on the new guy, which was me, obviously. So they were pranking me, and it was all a blast, man. And I think that's why I felt so comfortable out there, because they made me feel at home. It's like talking to a group of guys around at the bar, just hanging out. That's how how it felt, and that's how they made you feel. So it was a blast.
What kind of pranks? What kind of pranks did they pull on you?
It's things like pulling my chair out from underneath me and acting like the cameras are on, so they started talking. So I'm sitting there, not knowing what's going on and thinking I'm missing something, and it's fun, man. I mean, Daniel Cormier is hilarious. But as soon as the commercial's on, everybody grabs their phones.
Yeah.
Did anybody go for like any Anchorman jokes? Any whale's vagina? Any kind of stuff like that?
Smelly pirate hooker?
Nothing like that.
All right. Well, we got to ask, even though Lawler and Woodley is on the horizon, your division may get a big shake-up soon, enough with the possible and likely return of GSP. What was your reaction when you heard the news that George, is apparently ready to return?
Man, I thought it was pretty cool. I really didn't know why exactly he would be coming back. I mean, I know he's probably making more money outside the UFC than he ever was in, but growing up and being a fighter, that's just something that you miss. And he's still a young guy. He's not, he's not old at all. I mean, I think he's still in his prime. But the question was, where is he going to go? Is he going to go stay at 170? Is he going to drop to 155, or even go up to 185? I think that's the question everybody's thinking right now.
Well, I mean, you've had a bit of a relationship with TriStar. Have you heard anything? Have you spoken to anyone? I mean, I don't know what your relationship with GSP is like, but what have you heard, and what do you think would make sense for him?
I'm not really sure. Either stay at 170 or maybe even try, because I know he's a little bit shorter than me. I don't even know if he can get to 155, but I think he would definitely make a huge splash there as well. But, man, I mean, he's one of the best welterweights who ever stepped in there. It would be cool to see him fight a welterweight again. I mean, he's a monster, man. But I think for him, where his level is now, a super fight would be where it's at. Either going up in weight, maybe fight Bisping, because he's a big guy.
Mm-hmm. I'm just curious, people talked about the relationship between you and Rory, and I feel like you and GSP would have a stronger one, because I believe you guys actually sparred. What can you tell us about your relationship with George?
George, it was great, man. Kind of like it is with Rory. I mean, most of the time that I spent TriStar was for George, so I got to hang out with him and spend more time with him. Very cool guy, man. Very respectful and a true martial artist. I mean, he lives the martial arts every day. Even though he's not fighting, the guy trains every day. Jiu-jitsu. He still travels to Renzo Gracie's to train there. He's always going to the wrestling gym, wrestling there, doing mitt work. I'm seeing on Instagram. He texted me and congratulated me after the fight with Rory MacDonald, and just a very respectful guy.
I'm curious because obviously you've got a lot of big wins and you've done a lot of things in the division. You guys are friends, but despite all that, does it worry you at all that GSP might be given the next title shot ahead of you?
I don't think so, man. I mean, I believe they want big things for him if he does come back. So I'm thinking maybe they're going to do like a big,
him versus Brock Lesnar.
Something, man, like a big money fight,
Well, here's one for you. If he does return, hypothetically was able to either win the belt, or even if you were the champion and he was the number one contender, would you have any issues with facing him?
I would, just the fact that he, I've known him for a very long time and been a part of his camps for a long time. But I think he knows what my goal is, and that's to be the title. I've worked really, really hard this year, and, since I've stepped foot in the octagon to get there, we'll see, man.
Do you think out of respect he might leave the welterweight division alone just because, you guys have that relationship and he knows that, he's got two friends in it, yourself and Rory MacDonald. He sort of said in the past, like, look, it's Rory's time to shine. Doesn't look like Rory's going to get that title shot, but do you think he'd sort of do that for you maybe?
Maybe. I mean, he's that type of guy. He is a very nice guy, and maybe, man, he probably could possibly do that.
It's interesting you mentioned how big he is, but in a matchup against Michael Bisping, if this thing does go down, how do you think it goes? Can he beat Bisping? Because a lot of people believe that he has the skills to beat Bisping and win that middleweight title.
I think he does. Against Bisping, man, his striking is very good. He's got great wrestling. He's a very, very strong guy. That is definitely a possibility. I believe he can go out there and probably beat Bisping. Not taking anything away from Bisping, but, he's a very tough guy. But George is just, man, he's an animal.
If he does become the middleweight champion, we've been having this discussion, trying to figure it all out. How do you think he would go? Because there's a few crazy animals in the division. Obviously, Chris Weidman's one, Luke Rockholder's one. A lot of, Jacare's in there. A lot of tough matchups. Do you think he does well against those guys if he does become champion?
If he would fight Bisping, I don't think it would be for the title. I think it would just be a money fight. Just because, for him to be out for so long, then go out there and straight go for a title would be unfair for a lot of the fighters in the division. So I don't know if they would go that route, but in a just a big money fight, I think you would be Bisping. Yes.
Wow, there you go. Stephen, we really appreciate the time you're giving us. We just got a few more questions and then we'll get out of your hair. I want to sort of circle back to you. You made the call out in the middle of the octagon after you win. When we spoke to you last time, you mentioned that your management, they might need to put a bit of heat on the UFC and guarantee you that next title shot. Is that still the plan?
I believe so. If they don't give it to me, I believe my management company, they're very good at that. And, going out there, talking to the UFC, talking to Dana White and trying to get things figured out. So I know they have my back 100% on this, and that's what we're going for.
We know Dana White wasn't there, but did you get a chance to speak to him at all, or was a part of you really tempted to shoot him a sneaky text or just give him a sneaky call and just be like, "Hey, what's going on, Dana? Where's my next shot?"
No, I didn't get to really talk to him, and if I had his number, I definitely would have shoot him a text.
Yeah, send him an emoji. There's some funny emojis you can send him. Yeah.
Yeah, I know it, man. That would be hilarious.
You give him the old, you pretend you need to talk about something else. I just got this quick question. And then, why I got you on the phone? How about that title shot? Now that you're here.
Your house is on fire. Call me instantly so I can tell
That would be great, man. Just sneak it in there somehow.
Second last question. We're doing some predictions. While on the subject of 170, of course, your weight class, Nate Diaz, Conor McGregor, they'll be making another pass through your division at UFC 202. Just wondering what your thoughts are on the matchup. Who you think comes out victorious the second time around?
Well, I believe that Conor McGregor will definitely be in shape. I'm not saying that Nate Diaz was, because I know he had it was a 2 weeks notice. Mm-hmm. But man, I just don't think maybe McGregor maybe prepared himself for that fight like he should. Nate Diaz had been finished by some questionable guys. Maybe McGregor thought it was going to be an easy fight. I don't know, but they're both going to come in shape. They're both going to be hungry. I know Conor McGregor is. So, man, I expect they're going to be a war. I think it's going to go all 5 or 3 or 5 rounds, I believe. So, how it goes. Who
do you think wins the war,
that fight? Oh man. That's a hard one.
That analyst. You're going to be an analyst for that other card.
I know.
This is good practice.
The thing is that those Diaz brothers are so good at luring people into their game plan, standing in front of them and just duking it out. And they're so durable. They're very durable. And I think Conor McGregor knows that. I think he's going to use more movement this time, in and out movement, pace himself a little bit. So I think Conor McGregor may come back with the win on this one.
All right, Stephen, all the Australian fans are listening, the New Zealand fans are listening, American, the world is listening. As we wrap up, what's the message? What do you want to get out there that'll land you the next title shot?
Man, the message is, I've done, I think, what the fans and what the UFC expected of me. I went out there and finished some guys in the first round, went 5 rounds, unanimous decision against Rory MacDonald, the number 1 contender. Give me that title shot, guys. I guarantee it will be a war and an exciting fight.
Oh, there you guys go. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at WonderboyMMA. Lots of great stuff there. And if you're lucky enough, go do a class with him. I can't believe you're doing it. You're injured. You just had your fight, and you're still doing classes. It's unbelievable, man. Best of luck, and we look forward to seeing you on the screen breaking down some fights.
Thanks, guys. Y'all have a good one.